Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and a game between ESC's Jaxx and NoxOut here on Shattered Temple. This is game 2 in the series. Hopefully it does not disappoint. I am casting a rather longer series. I apologize for those of you guys who follow my channel pretty regularly that I did not cast all the games yesterday. Yesterday became very hectic as the game does get underway. Now, I know I haven't asked this question recently, but I'll just pop it out there one more time. Do you guys like to have the hit points bars on all the time or off? I know if you turn it off, anything you hover over, you see hit points. But it does clean up the screen just a little bit. Let me know what you guys think. Make the messages, put in comments, let me know. As we're now going to see NoxOut do a quick scout after the supply depot here and figure out where his opponent is and what his opponent is up to. Jaxx spawning as the green protoss player at the 9 o'clock position, knocks out the blue Terran player here at the 3 o'clock position. Full cross spawns, as we'll see what is going to be happening, and we'll see whether or not NoxOut falls prey to not scouting out fully like he did on Shakura's plateau. It looks as though he's going to go and make sure to scout out the actual building itself, as Jaxx says drops are so imba on Shakura's plateau. I know it's German. I'm just doing a quick translation. I don't read German, so apparently that was some sort of funny comment and retort. As a probe will be making its way up the ramp. You can see a barracks has been placed down here alongside a refinery. The barracks will be able to train up a marine, perhaps add on a tech lab. As the game does get underway, NoxOut not going for a quick gasless expansion, so he may be going for a Reaper expand. SCV now coming up the ramp to take a look around, will spot the gateway, sees the double pylon, needs to see where that cybernetics core, finally sees it being warped in along the north here, and then will be making its way out. SCV and a probe are dishing it out as we are now going quickly into a tech lab, which normally indicates that it will be a Reaper expand. NoxOut, is he going to be training up a Reaper? Yes, he will be. Most likely that will be countered by a Stalker by Jaxx, but a Zealot is being trained as well. That early Reaper, very effective at dealing with the early Zealot, and then you can also get a Marauder right behind it and have the early Marauder deal with the Stalker that should be coming behind it as well. Now Jaxx canceled his Zealot. Now it's chrono boosting out a Stalker as he wants to make sure that the Reaper is not able to do very much of anything. SCV sitting at the Xel'Naga Tower now, this probe being very careful and being very certain that he does not get revealed by the Xel'Naga Tower. Actually, is he revealed? Yes, by a split second there, ever so slightly, as Jaxx may try to perhaps hide a probe and over here and then warp in with a low ground pylon. Stalker now making its rounds as a Nexus is being warped in. Concussive shells now being researched in addition to training up a Marauder. Where is that Reaper? The Reaper now making its rounds, but the Stalker most likely will be coming back here, parking itself, and being able to destroy this Reaper pretty easily, as NoxOut just making sure that there are no proxy pylons in play. Now both players are setting up command centers and Nexuses, or a Nexus. Nexus is already plural, don't need to make it plural, as the the Reaper now making its rounds, just trying to figure out where exactly that probe could possibly be. Probe now at the bottom at the natural expansion here, and it may just simply patrol in between these two locations. That Reaper looking and scouting for that probe is not going to find it, as it is just simply just beyond sight range. Oh no, NoxOut may make its way over, and yes, he will spot that probe. Down goes the probe unable to even get a shot off or a zap off onto that Reaper. Reaper now pretty comfortable knowing that there are no proxy pylons, has gotten rid of the probe, no backdoor entrances will be established, as the Reaper now does excuse me, does his own bit of scouting. Reapers now making their way towards the Nexus off over here. You can see sentries are placed down It is going to be, I believe, a 3-gate expand as the Reaper now tries to run around. He does spot the... Oh, he does spot the pylon. He doesn't spot the Nexus, though, as the Reaper doing a very, very dangerous run. He is not going to spot the Nexus as the Reaper now simply running along back over here. It's going to try to jump down, will spot the probes finally. Perhaps take down a probe in the process. Yes, is able to take down a second probe. At least trading 100 resources for 100 resources. Probe still being trained as we are now seeing the Stalker army. This is more of a cautionary army, making sure that if there is no defense at the natural expansion, that it is easily taken over. NoxOut should be calling in some mules. There you see it, as SCVs are being brought down into play as well. Harvester count, 31 to 28 as a Marine patrolling right outside the base, and this is going to be very dangerous. Is the Marine going to spot this pylon? No, it is not going to spot. Oh, it does spot the pylon there, and now the Marines and the Marauders need to make sure to take care of this, as a Stalker now going to try to engage. I believe the Zealots are not going to be able to do anything very much, as the Stalkers are now being forced to pull back. We can see that there are Stalkers and Sentries here. Units are now warping in, and NoxOut needs to bring down some SCVs, get some units in there, perhaps adding in a couple Marauders here, as an SCV now patrolling and is going to spot all of these Zealots. Marauders are now in position. SCVs, where are the force fields? There you go, the force fields preventing any repairing on the top bunker. One bunker down, a second bunker may get taken down, but the exchange is not very good, as the Stalkers are battling up against a couple Marauders here. These Marauders are simply too far. Marines are now stimming, chasing after these units, going after a Stalker at a time, and now Zealots are going to be reinforcing. These Marauders perhaps are going to make it inside. Is it going to make it inside in time? Turning around, getting off an easy shot there. And the Marauders, nice micro by NoxOut, unloading all the Marines and putting 2 low hit point Marauders in that bunker. Now, NoxOut, I believe, got the better of that engagement. Definitely got the better in that engagement there. Even with the force fields, he was able to repair one of the bunkers at least. A second bunker may be reestablished, or the units may just be turning around and retreating. Jaxx does have his natural expansion up, and he does have more harvesters, 43 to 38, but there are still those mules. The Marines could make their way up, destroy these destructible rocks, as we are now going into a robotics bay and a Twilight Council. We'll see whether that Twilight Council is just for the Charge and Blink upgrade, or whether he wants to go for High Templars, Dark Templars, and Psystorm. The Robotics Bay should indicate Colossi, though, as Colossi very effective against ground infantry as long as there are no Vikings. Colossus now being added to the group. We can see that the Robotics Bay needs a little bit more minerals before it can get the extended thermal lance range. 200 resources, and it should be started now, as he can spot and scout out exactly what he needs to see. He sees everything, but he does not see those robotics bays, arms, researching anything, and that is a cautionary indicator, as NoxOut doesn't know if there is going to be a Colossus first or an Observer first. The Observer already around the field, though, so the Observer should be able to provide a lot of insight here, as now the Marauders and the Marines, there is one medevac and only one medevac in this group. A Marauder and a Marine still going to rejoin here. That is a rather risky move, as 2 medevacs are not going to be able to really keep that entire Bile army alive. There is one Colossus, a second Colossus now being trained, extended thermal lance range nowhere near done. So there's going to be a small window of opportunity for NoxOut to try to engage, as there is a drop in the backside of the base here. Stalkers are engaging the medevac, now trying to pull away, as there's now an engagement on the front door. Colossus, there's the force fields, not very good at all, as the Marines and the Marauders are battling it out. Sentries are getting taken down. The force field still causing a lot of disruption on the pathing, though, as now the medevac going to drop into the main, or at the natural. So in comes a push here. Stalkers are blinking to the back. The medevac needs to unload the rest of those units. Not quite sure why it didn't, as that was a bad engagement by Nox. Nox not keeping all of his, or not keeping track of his medevac. And I think if there was 8 Marines, the more Stalkers would have been destroyed, and this entire engagement would be completely different, as the Marines and the Marauders, or just Marauders, are now trying to turn around. Marauders are now trying to take down the Stalkers, but the Stalkers were able to blink, catch up, and finish off the rest of these Marauders here. This is not a good point, but Nox doing a good job focusing down units as he's running away, turning around, getting a shot, continuing that move, as NoxOut still does have a slight harvester advantage. Nothing slight about it. 9 harvester advantage. And a stronger economy, as he does have mules and harvesting more gas as well. Command center being established by Nox. The bunker, it looks like it does have 2 more fresh marauders in there. Marines, SCVs still being added, as this game is now going into the tier 3 late game mode. And NoxOut going for heavy Vikings, apparently not realizing that a reactor can't work from that location. Always very frustrating when a Terran player messes up like that. Now, we'll see what's going to be happening here, as we are currently supply blocked. This 1 starport, yes, is going to lift off and land in the right position, as now supply drops are being called in to try to free himself from being supply blocked. Marines and Marauders quickly taking down the destructible rocks here. No upgrades as of yet, even though we're at the 15-minute mark. Factory in the air happens very often against any in a Protoss versus Terran matchup, where siege tanks are not really altogether that useful, but I believe Terran mech play will be more effective in Heart of the Swarm with the inclusion of a lot more units, and especially with that new Goliath type or mini Thor, whatever you want to call it. I forget the name of it. And also the Shredder. And we'll see what's going to happen here, as Jaxx is running on 3 bases, or will be running on 3 bases. Meanwhile, a planetary fortress most likely will be established at the gold mineral patch. Planetary fortress is very powerful against gateway units, dealing 40 damage per attack and also doing a bit of splash. Also having 3 armor, reducing the damage that a Zealot does from 16 down to 10. A Zealot quickly finishes off a Marine. A Marine down over here doesn't see the pylon up on the high ground. Factory now here. We'll see what's going to happen, as there are a fair number of Colossi Stalkers about to engage the Marines, and the Marauders looking to try to snipe down the Nexus. Is it going to work? The Vikings need to engage, but the Stalkers are already there. The Marauders now pushing in. There's a lot of Zealots, though, as the Vikings just getting completely destroyed. The Zealots and the Marines battling it out, but the Marauders making that concussive slow so painful, as the Stalkers and Zealots are now once again charging in a nice group there. The Medivacs trying to stay together. The Stalkers once again blinking forward as the Marauders run all the way home. And Jaxx doing very well in that engagement. NoxOut still does have a slight harvester advantage and more army units. But then again, one of the things you got to consider is that Terran units, while they're training, count towards that food count. So I believe that was 8, 16, 20 food worth of units as they were being trained, while Protoss units, as long as you have the gateway, they warp in just a second, only 5 seconds, so that food count could jump up in just a moment. The factory about to be destroyed, down to 40 hit points. There it goes, as the planetary fortress is in fact up, and we are now getting a 4th command center down here. A Marine of NoxOut trying to make sure that there is no expansion at the 12 position. Observers still being added. We are now getting into 2-2 upgrades, but we are also transitioning into Psystorm. Psystorm may spell problems, as he will have to deal with Colossi and High Templar all at the same time, trying to micro Ghost and Vikings and your Terran Bio army. Not easy to do, but then again, it is also difficult to land effective Psystorms while blinking Stalkers and moving around your Colossi. So many things to do in StarCraft 2 in order to utilize and maximize your army. And there you go, a nice quick blink as the Marauders all unload. The Observers, however, now going to make their way over, as the Observer is going to catch this. Where is that medevac going? The Stalkers, are they going to be able to blink up onto the high ground is the question. And the Observer just, oh, yes, it will. And down it goes. NoxOut getting his medevac knocked out of the sky, as we now see more units being warped in, and Jaxx has pretty much evened up the food count. 70 probes compared to 72 SCVs, who can produce more units more quickly. Level 2 and level 2 weapons upgrade and armor upgrades about to be completed. We are going into 5 ghosts, though. So 5 ghosts now as the Vikings are engaging the center. You can see that the Vikings chasing after those Colossi. No Stalkers. High Templars may get in that Psystorm, and that is going to be a very bad engagement here. But the Marauders and the Marines still engaging. And where is that Psystorm? There's one Psystorm. But that gap between these two armies as ghosts now need to be added up very, very quickly. There are a lot of zealots, a lot of meat shields, and really no way to deal with them. Trying to use that stutter step, especially with this mass number, very difficult, as many of the Marines will not be engaging. Vikings now moving forward once more. Where's the Psystorm? There it is. Psystorm casted, and now more and more Marauders are getting destroyed. Vikings having nothing to attack here as the Zealots have been surrounding Medivacs, getting feedback, and Jaxx with an amazing push here, getting in a lot of damage. The Vikings finally go into ground mode, add a little bit more DPS as SCVs are now coming over. It looks like the units are going to get taken down. More units should be warping in. Yes, a round of Zealots to lead the way, and Zealots lead the way here as the Archons are now joining in on the fight with crazy extra damage, 43 damage per attack with a slight splash. Marauders and Marines up on the high ground, but NoxOut losing to this very effective push here with just very well-placed Psystorms. The Vikings never had a chance to land, and now even though NoxOut does have the additional base and over here, and he could start calling in mules, I do not believe he is going to survive this engagement. Too many Zealots inside the base, taking down too many production building. The Zealots now charging in. The Marines and SCVs unable to really do anything, or SCVs not able to do anything as the Zealots are all getting choked up fighting against mass SCVs. But now in comes the attack. Colossi and Archons. Archon tanking a lot of that damage. The SCVs need to get taken out, and it looks like they will all get taken out as the SCVs are not going to be able to repair anymore once they are dead. Down goes the Planetary Fortress, and now it is going to be 2 bases versus 3. Colossi, Observer, Archons now, but Colossus in the very far back. After all the Vikings have been shot out of the sky, the Colossi will pretty much go unanswered as the Colossus army can pretty much attack, move into this base. Also, 5 Archons joining in on that fight, and this is just an awesome group of units here. That was a good game, well played, very well played by Jaxx, and Jaxx taking the victory on Shattered Temple. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening.